Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the craziness that is the 2003 draft. We're going to be looking for all the picks, which are a lot of them. We're going to be looking at all the stats and the best players to come out of it. Now I'm just going to warn you guys here, brace yourselves for a long episode. Because this draft, it's going to be a doozy. So, of course, we start with this kind of tradition. We look at the first round and see how many players did not play an NHL game. We saw 4 last time with the 2002 draft. I think it was 3 with the 2001 draft. I think a couple in the 2000 draft. And in this 2003 draft, there were 0 players that didn't play an NHL game to come from the first round, which is honestly just craziness. Now the top 3 coming in from this draft, you had Marc-Andre Fleury number 1, you had Eric Staal number 2, and you had Nathan Horton number 3. So with that out of the way, let's look at all the players that played over 600 games. Now, I had it over 600 games this time. Throughout the last few ones, we've done over 500 games. We'll look at it, but this draft is just so insane that I had to limit it a little bit more, and we have the threshold up at 600. Now, I'll start with Marc-Andre Fleury, drafted first overall. He has played 737 games so far. He has a career .914 save percentage, career .955, or 255 goals against average, and of course, him being originally drafted by Pittsburgh there. Number 2, you got Eric Staal, second overall, 1,093 games played, a ton of those, 395 goals, has 527 assists for 922 points, him being originally drafted by Carolina. And around that top 3 had Nathan Horton, 626 games played, 203 goals, 218 assists for 421 points, him being drafted by Florida originally. Then we go a little bit ahead to the 5th overall pick in Thomas Vanek. He has 965 games played, 357 goals, 396 assists for 753 points, him being drafted by Buffalo there. You have Milan Michalek, 6th overall, him playing 747 games played, 208 goals, 238 assists for 446 points, him being drafted by San Jose. Then you got Ryan Suter, the next pick, 7th overall, 991 games played, really close to 1,000, 75 goals, 418 assists for 493 points, him being drafted by Nashville, of course. Brandon Coburn, 8th overall, 850 games played, 44 goals, 161 assists, 205 points, him being drafted by Atlanta. And for the final person in that top 10, you got Dion Phaneuf, 9th overall. He has 981 games played, 136 goals, 352 assists for 488 points, him being drafted by Calgary back in the day. 11th overall, you got Jeff Carter, who has 904 games played, 352 goals, 320 assists for 672 points, him being drafted by Philadelphia. Then you got 13th overall, Dustin Brown, 1,045 games played, 260 goals, 307 assists, 567 points, him being drafted by LA. 14th overall, you got Brent Seabrook, 1,004 games played, 95 goals, 337 assists for 432 points, him being drafted by Chicago, of course. Then you got Steve Bernay, 16th overall, 637 games played, 105 goals, 125 assists for 230 points, him being drafted by San Jose. Then you got 17th overall, Zach Parise, 872 games played, 333 goals, 352 assists for 685 points, him being drafted by the Devils. Then you got a good player there in, you got Ryan Getzlaf, 19th overall, 917 games played, 247 goals, 628 assists for 875 points, drafted by Anaheim. Then you got 20th overall, next pick, Brent Burns, who has 961 games played, 182 goals, 384 assists for 566 points, him being drafted by Minnesota. And then you got Mark Stewart for the next pick, 21st overall, 673 games played, 26 goals, 67 assists for 93 points, drafted by Boston. Mike Richards, 24th overall, 749 games played, 181 goals, 306 points, or 306 assists for 487 points, him being drafted by Philadelphia. And for the lart 3 picks in the first round, you start with Brian Boyle, 26th overall, 693 games played, 106 goals, 86 assists for 192 points, him being drafted by LA. 28th overall, you got Corey Perry, 957 games played, 366 assists for 400 assists for 766 points, drafted by Anaheim. 29th overall, you got Patrick Eaves, 626 games played, 132 goals, 110 assists for 242 points, him being originally drafted by Ottawa. And of course, that rounds out the just craziness that was even the first round. In the second round, it's still a good round, but it's a little bit less crazy than the first round, thankfully. You got Louis Eriksson, 33rd overall, 840 games played, 233 assists, or 233 goals, 318 assists for 551 points, hitting drafted by Dallas. 45th overall, or 37th overall, you got Kevin Klein, 627 games played, 38 goals, 116 assists, 154 points, him being drafted by Nashville. And 45th overall, you might have the biggest steal in the draft so far, Patrice Bergeron, 963 games played, 289 goals, 445 assists for 734 points. Originally drafted by Boston, of course. You got Matt Carl, 47th overall, 730 games played, 45 goals, 238 assists for 283 points. Drafted by San Jose there. 49th overall, you got Shea Weber there, 867 games played, 189 goals, 312 assists, 501 points, drafted by Nashville. And Shea Weber, 49th overall, again, another steal there. 52nd overall, you got Corey Crawford, who has he has 409 games played on career 19 save percentage, career 237 goals against average, and being drafted by Chicago. 61st overall, you got Maxime Lapierre, 614 games played, 65 goals, 74 assists for 139 points, and being drafted by Montreal. And the next pick, you got David Backes, 858 games played, 237 goals, 294 assists for 531 goals, or 31 points, drafted by St. Louis. And the last pick of the second round that's really worth noting, you got Jimmy Howard, 64th overall, 461 games played, a career 915 save percentage, a career 246 goals against average, of course, being drafted by Detroit. In the third round, interestingly, you have nobody that has played over 600 games. That's pretty wacky. In the fourth round, you have one guy. You got Jan Haida. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it. He played 627 games, 25 goals, 110 assists for 135 points. He was drafted by Buffalo. In the fifth round, you got a couple of guys. You got Lee Stepniak, 148th overall, 909 games played, 203 goals, 266 assists for 469 points. Drafted by St. Louis. 163rd overall, you got Brad Richardson, who played 683 games played, 81 goals, 123 assists for 204 points, him being drafted by Colorado. And in the 6th and 7th round, it gets a lot more crazy. In the 6th round, you start off with 168th overall, you got Mark Mathot, 615 games played, 22 goals, 101 assists for 123 points, him being originally drafted by Columbus Blue Jackets. You got Nate Thompson, 183rd overall, 619 games played, 53 goals, 75 assists for 128 points, being drafted by Boston. Then you go to the 7th round where you have a 205th overall Joe Pavelski. 7th round pick Joe Pavelski, 888 games played, 317 goals, 380 assists for 697 points. Drafted by San Jose. Definitely the biggest steal here in the draft. You got Kyle Brodziak, 214th overall, 847 games played, 123 goals, 164 assists for 287 points. A great steal by Edmonton there. Then you go on to the 8th round. We have 239th overall Tobias Lindstrom, 719 games played, 54 goals, 254 assists for 308 points, drafted by Atlanta originally. Then to round out that 8th round, you have Dustin Byfuglien, the guy on the back of my jersey, 245th overall, 827 games played, 173 goals, 321 assists for 494 points, drafted by Chicago. Another great steal there. And you got two last guys going in the 9th round. You have Matt Molson, 263rd overall, 650 games played, 176 assists, or goals, 143 assists, 396 points, drafted originally by Pittsburgh. And for the second last pick in the NHL draft, you got 231st overall Brian Elliott, 415 games played, a career 912 save percentage, career 246 goals against average. Of course, being drafted by Ottawa, the second last pick in the NHL draft. It's really close to Mr. Irrelevant. Man, that was a lot of numbers to talk about. And man, this draft had pretty much everything. You had a ton of first rounders, a ton of brilliant first round. That first round might be the best first round we ever see for a while, man. And honestly, even though people do say that the 2003 draft is the best draft, I gotta agree with them. You have everything right now. You have one of the best first rounds you'll ever see. Fantastic second round. That third round didn't really have anybody, which is surprising. But you had some great light draft steals in the 9th round, the 8th round, the 7th round, the 6th round. This draft really had everything in it. And it really was, and it probably will be the best draft that we look at. 2003 draft, even though it is regarded as the best draft, I feel like it's definitely deserving of that. You see so many players, probably a lot of Hall of Famers coming from this draft. You got great goalies, you got great forwards, you got great defensemen. This draft really is a complete draft, and one that we might not see again. A lot of people are praising this next 2018 draft as something that akin to the 2013 or the 2003 draft, where it was just a stacked draft class. But I think this 2003 draft will go down as one of the best, if not the best, in history. It really is amazing. You really had everything in here. You had draft skills, you had great first round picks, you had great middle picks, you had goalies, you had defensemen, you had forwards. You really had everything you could ever want from this draft. And some of the biggest stars today and from the last few years have come from this draft, and it's really shown itself as possibly and probably the best draft that we'll see for a long time. But for my top 5 players coming out of this draft, there's so many options, man. For number 1, I have Patrice Bergeron. Big fan of him. Just all-around game is fantastic, and he's obviously shown himself as a fantastic player throughout all of these years. Number 2, I have Corey Crawford, who has amazing career numbers. He's been fantastic with Chicago, and one of the main reasons why they've done so well in the past few years. Number 3, I have Joe Pavelski. I feel like he's just been a fantastic, underrated guy for so long. Has been one of the best goal scorers for the last 5 years. He's done fantastic in that department. And number 4, you have Ryan Getzlaf, who could be in the number 3 spot. It's pretty, you know, you could switch it back and forth. But Ryan Getzlaf, fantastic two-way guy. He has been for a while, and of course is an assist machine. And number 5, I have Brent Burns. What's there to say about Brent Burns? He's been a forward, he's been a defenseman, he's done it all, and of course he's an offensive powerhouse right now. And again, making that top 5 was probably the funnest one because there's really so many options. There's so many guys that you can make argue for that top 5. It's really just a stacked draft class. You saw everything. Again, some of the best players that we see today have come from this draft and have just shown themselves. We've seen some drafts bust, but like we haven't really seen anybody in this draft class. I mean, there was a couple of guys that you could have wished for better, but really, this is as good as a draft class as you could ever hope to see. And again, some of my favorite players, some of the best players right now have come from this draft, and obviously we've seen a stacked draft class from here, and again, this will go down as one of the best in history, and it's shown that just from all the players, all the stars that have come from this draft. And when people say, and even me say, that it's the best draft possibly ever, they aren't kidding. I mean, the stats and the facts show themselves. It was probably the most stacked draft class, most stacked first round, of course, that we'll ever see. And it's obviously just been a perfect draft. And looking back on it, of course, it is going to be the best one and the best one so far that we've looked at. But man, the list to come out of this, the list of players is just so good. And we might never see a good draft, such a good draft like this ever again. So that is going up for today, guys. Enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell me down below what you thought of this ludicrous draft. Who is your best players and who is your favorite players coming out of this draft as well. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.